Jacqueline. Hello, everyone. I am Andrea. For those of you that missed on my computer does say Jason, but I am in fact Andrea of Andrea and Melissa. So I'm going to kick it off for you guys and just kind of go over what's happening in the Canadian wine market, what are the current trends, and just a couple of quick slides on some data. And then we'll go over our calendar for the year. And then Melissa will dive into the specific initiatives that we have planned for this exciting year ahead. Okay, so I'm not going to touch anything because I do not know this computer. Okay, thank you, Melissa. So just kind of a little bit about the Canadian wine market. So we are 40 million people, just over a tenth of the U.S. population. So, we often look at trends and what's happening in the U.S. and just kind of divide it by 10 to see how we're projecting. The majority of our wine drinkers are age 35 to 54. So we have some work to do to get the younger people drinking, but I think that's pretty consistent across all wine markets. Annual still wine consumption in Canada is 25.6 liters, and it was declining for a bit. And just doing some research this week, and we are projected to increase in 2024 to 26.5 liters. So it's good to see. I mean, I think we've had some stressful times of wine sales decreasing, but as we look at things, are starting to pull around. So that's great news. Consumers in Canada understand and appreciate wines from the U.S. California is obviously Canada is the #1 export market for California. Consumers know the wines, but there's definitely interest in exploring new regions outside of California. We've seen great growth from Washington and Oregon over the years, and now New York. People are excited about the wine, so it's really nice to see that sort of knowledge and that excitement from consumers in Canada. As many of you probably know, we do have a liquor monopoly system. It can be challenging. Obviously, it's a structured program, but it can really offer a lot of opportunities for growth and collaboration. The marketplace is also constantly evolving. Some of you may have heard that some big changes in Ontario. Maybe I'll just speak to quickly now. The Ontario government is opening up wine sales to more grocery, so full grocery and big box, as well as convenience stores. So this is a big change. It'll be wine, beer, RTD that will be allowed to be sold in these channels. Spirits and premium wines will remain with the Liquor Control Board, the monopoly, the LCBO. So it doesn't really mean a lot for New York wines quite in this moment, but I think over time, the opportunities in those channels will increase. Right now, those new channels will only be able to sell what's currently listed at the LCBO, but we're pushing as an industry for 2026 to see different opportunities for these channels to purchase on their own and not have to go through what the LCBO has already selected for their stores. So, we'll obviously keep you updated on what's happening, but I think in the future, there will be more opportunities. As we look at wine sales in dollars and cases, we are finally starting to see that shift on a rolling 3-month trend if we look at the previous 3 months of last year. So it's really exciting to see as, I mentioned, we've seen a lot of decline over the last little while after COVID, the big spikes we had there. So it's great to see that people are drinking more wine here in Canada. Excellent. Perfect. So just some of the consumer trends. So premiumization is definitely happening. We're seeing people spending more money on wine. A lot of the younger generation, maybe they aren't drinking as much, but when they are drinking, they are looking at spending more money and making curated selections, and they're interested in learning. It's also driven by price increases. We've had freight rates and different foreign exchange issues. So prices are increasing as well, but we are also seeing premiumization within that. The 19 to 24 wine drinkers are making up less of the overall consumption. So that's something that we're seeing. They drink, maybe RTD, maybe they're more involved in cannabis. So we really are, a lot of regions, a lot of associations are really looking at how we can get younger people consuming more wine. Organic and natural wine is a big trend, especially among those younger consumers. There is a channel with bottle shops in Ontario. So we're seeing a lot of them bringing in a lot of those wines and a lot of younger consumers shopping there. They're open to alternative formats, so RTD, canned, different boxes. That's really been growing as well. E-commerce, I think COVID forced the hand of a few of our retailers here to get better at it because we're not great e-commerce here. It's better than others. But there's definitely increased opportunities there. That says now alcohol wines, but it's supposed to say no alcohol. It's been a trend for both. Connection is unstable. Okay, I think I'm good.
You're back. You're back.
Okay, sorry. I was like watching Melissa and Jacqueline to see if they were frozen or moving. I'm like, are they blinking? Sorry about that. So yes, as people are more health conscious, there's a higher demand for these wines, and the liquor boards are opening more and more tenders and opportunities for these. Next slide. So just to give you a snapshot of dollars and growing at 0.8%, just recently showing growth, which is great. Uh, represent 5% of the market, just over 10%. So wine obviously being the biggest part of the market and the most consumed in dollar sales. Slide, please. So just wanted to show you wine sales by country of origin. So this is showing you dollar sales by country. So Canada being the number one, but to note about 70 to 80% of these Canadian wines sold in Canada are actually blended with bulk wines and in a lot of large formats. So when we look at actual Canadian produced wine, it's quite, or 100% Canadian produced wine, it would be a little bit, quite a bit less than that. But that is the number one country of origin for Canada. France, Italy, and the United States, they all flip-flop over the years. As you can see by the growth trend there, the US is declining quite a bit right now. I think certain markets are seeing a decline in California wines. And Italy are having a bit of a comeback in Canada, and both showing slight growth over the last dollar. Next slide.
Technical difficulties.
Am I frozen again?
You're good now.
Hello?
Yeah, you're good.
Just pipe in here. This is Val.
Okay.
Andrea, it might help
Sorry.
to turn off your video, just to save some of the, I don't know, the Wi-Fi drain. I think the video might,
Sure.
turning it off may help, could be completely wrong.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so total wine sales by province. I just wanted to show this quickly to give you some insight as to why we focus our energy where we do. So Quebec and Ontario, as you can see, making up almost 70% of all wine sales. When you add in BC and Alberta, our four major markets, that's over 90% of wine sales in Canada. So the foundation has determined that Quebec and Ontario are where we will focus the majority of our efforts, as that is where most of the wine is sold. Next slide. Try to move.
Andrea, do we have you?
Hello? Hello?
Yep. You're back.
Matt, where's the Wi-Fi thing?
Andrea, you're back.
Where would I be closest to the Wi-Fi? Upstairs? Hello?
Hello, you're back. We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me now? Okay, perfect. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm trying to move around and get my husband to tell me where the Wi-Fi router is here. Okay, so just looking at total wine sales by price point, this just gives you an idea of where the majority of sales are coming. So under 10 has definitely been declining, and it's only making up about 17% of the market. 10 to $15, making about a quarter of the market. And then you can see 15 to 20, 27%. And then you add in the next price bracket, and you've got almost 40% of the wine market within that $15 to $25 price range. Next slide. So just kind of quickly talking about the route to market in Ontario and how the market operates here. So as I mentioned, it is a liquor control board. So there are 675 LCBO stores. And as that is increasing now, we're going to be adding in 8,000 convenience stores, as well as, can you hear me? Yes? Okay. As well as the 500 grocery stores. So it'll definitely be changing over time. We are currently focusing our efforts on the bottle shops. We have sort of changed our focus as we had a really interesting global trip last year where there was, I think, 25 people from around the world that came down to the wine region, and Melissa and I conveniently drove down 3.5 hours, which was quite nice. And we were sitting at the table with several people from Asia who had traveled 24 hours around the world, and some of them were very tired at dinner, and we were like, wow, we are very fortunate to be so close. So as we looked at our focus, we were like, wow, is it better to be doing educational initiatives and spending this money, this budget in terms of, bringing a few winemakers up and doing a walk around tasting, or do we get more bang for our buck by bringing as many people down to the wine region as possible? This is the closest wine region outside of Niagara. So we have really refocused that, and we brought a group of 11 people down in the fall, and we've had some amazing results from those people already. They really become ambassadors for us. So yeah, we have, as Melissa will take you through the plans, we will also have a few trips this year where we will hopefully see many of you on that trip. So in saying that, the route to market has changed quite a bit for Ontario for us because we are focusing on the bottle shops, because we think that that is a better opportunity right now, as the LCBO needs some time to figure out how to merchandise our products. So as we have sommeliers and bottle shop buyers coming down to the region, I think it's a great way to have them be ambassadors and help us sell product and bring more wines into Canada. So the SAQ, we're having a bit more success there from the Liquor Control Board. They are really keen. The consumers are, I think, a bit more educated. And, we were at a climate change conference where we had a New York wines table, and there was just people all surrounding the table. They were really just so excited about the wines. It was really great feedback. So we're continuing to focus in Quebec, working with the SAQ and working through the tenders. They have a few wines coming into the market this year, and I think that we should hopefully see some success there. They do operate on a very strict timeline within their tender process and marketing promotions, but we have a really collaborative buyer willing to work with us. So I think there's some great options there. There is also the private import channel, which a lot of agents are great at. So it's a great option to bring your wines in and maybe pick different wines to go into that segment of the market. I'll pass it over to Melissa, who hopefully has a more stable connection.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Thanks, Andrea, for walking us through the market. We'll kind of take a look at some of the things that Andrea mentioned in terms of the market and how we guided our promotions for this year and activities. So I just want to give you a snapshot of the calendar. So one thing to notice here, we've got the MAP funding and the GBI funding, which is separate to what we have worked with in the past. So I just want to kind of show you an overlay and where our activities will fall during the year. And we'll go through each one of these. But you can see we really focused on making New York wines part of the conversation in most months outside of some of the off times. So keep going here. So the first program we kicked off the year with was the SAQ Inspire program. This is part of the USA Wines GBI Fund. So what that means is we are working with USA Wines in collaboration with California Wines, Oregon Wines, and Washington Wines to create a bigger voice for all of those regions. And I think that's really important, especially from a retail perspective, to be sitting beside some of these bigger wine regions and showing that we have wines that compare and are equally as excellent. So this was kicked off in July. It was a program that was 10 times the points. So the SAQ runs the program called an Inspire program, and it's essentially a points program. So we joined forces, as I mentioned, with USA Wines, and you got 10 times the points for purchasing basically any 2 or more bottles of wine from the US, and these could be sold in participating stores or online. And the wineries that were eligible for this program were wineries that had product in market, either in the stores or online. Now, this will be running for an additional 3 months, and they're separated by a 4-week period. So we'll see another 10 times the points in P5 as well as P6 for the next 2 months. Now, as Andrea mentioned, we've refocused our efforts from the LCBO specifically in Ontario, but we're also going to be looking at increasing our presence, especially with a lot of new wineries joining the program this year. We really want to make sure that everyone has agents and representation. The biggest piece of the puzzle, I think, in working in the Canadian market is really making sure that you have the right agent to be able to support the sale of your wines. So we are collaborating with A3, which is the association that looks after all of the agents in Quebec. And we will be hosting a tasting on September 11th for all the wineries that are seeking representation. So a few dates to just keep in mind: we'll be publishing the bottle books registration next week, and we'll be consolidating the samples, hopefully with FLX International, which you're all probably familiar with at this point. And the delivery deadline for that will be September 2nd. And the same goes for Toronto. We're looking at the date of September 23rd to visit with all the agents that are looking to expand their portfolio with a New York winery. The next event we have planned really has an alignment with the sommeliers and buyers that we brought down to the Finger Lakes back in the spring. So this is going to be a bottle shop pop-up. We're going to do one in Toronto and one in Ottawa. And the reason why we chose Ottawa, for simplicity reasons, it's easier for samples, but also a number of the Quebec sommeliers that came were in the Ottawa-Gatineau area, so right on the border of Quebec and Ottawa. So we think we'll get really great exposure for taking over a few of the bottle shops and really showcasing and inviting sommeliers to come and try the wines, and have the ambassadors that we brought down really educate them and share them with their peers. So we will be looking for wineries to participate in that, especially those who participate in the program with us with our visit in the spring, and the new wineries, and we will work on getting you agents in the meantime. So that registration will open in early September. Another exciting inbound trip, we are going to be collaborating with our colleagues in the UK and Europe, and we're going to bring 18 trade down to the Finger Lakes. However, we're also including, similar to what we did last time, an overview seminar and a walk around tasting for the other regions, as well as an overview seminar and a walk around tasting, which we will be inviting 2 principals. Some of the feedback we received from our trip is that they would love to see more principals and really learn about the region from the people that are working in the region. So we will be in touch with regards to that as well. And we'd love to see, we've put together a preliminary agenda, and I've included all 37 potential candidates. So we're really hoping after this call, everyone joins the program. If you have any questions about it, please reach out in the meantime. However, this registration will be going out next week, and I will be in touch with you directly with where we have currently positioned you. And if you're not in the program at the moment, you will also be in touch, and hopefully we can give you more insight into what these programs look like and how we'd love for you to be involved in the Canadian market specifically.
Hey, Melissa, this is Val. Just to be clear, so I understand, the bottle shop is just an independent wine retailer, or is it something different?
Nope. So a bottle shop is an independent wine retailer, but they purchase their wines through essentially a wholesale channel through the LCBO. And this changed. This was a new introduction during COVID, and it was kind of gray for a little while in terms of what the regulations were. However, with the opening of the convenience and grocery and just looking at a wholesale model now through the LCBO, we're starting to see more and more bottle shops pop up. And they're sort of neighborhood shops, and this is where a lot of sort of the younger consumer is looking to purchase their wines. Sort of more interesting options than what they would get on LCBO shelves. Another thing to mention, and this is why an agent is really important, is bottle shops can purchase from consignment agents and then sell bottles similar to restaurants by the bottle rather than by the case. So it just gives a good opportunity for consumers alike to be able to purchase and try one bottle at a time. And it's really following the trend of those sort of younger generation really looking to explore different regions, which I think is really helpful for us.
Thank you, really helpful.
No problem. And just to kind of give you a sense on dates, so we have secured the date of November 4th to 8th for this inbound trip. Just to touch back on that. I'm sure we're going pretty quickly. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I'm sure Jacqueline can organize those for us. Perfect. So because we are looking to expand the New York winery footprint by getting more wineries agents, these agents can sell through the consignment channel. So the consignment channel is essentially the channel that does not hit retail shelves. This is where a lot of restaurants purchase their wines from, but you can also sell them direct to consumers. So we'd like to work with, and we're giving this a try around Thanksgiving, just to support the holiday of Thanksgiving and really excite people around New York and the USA. And this will be an opportunity for us to educate consumers on the region, but also be able to sell wines directly to them at the event. And I think, as we all know, sort of liquid on lips is really key for consumers. And I think a tasting such as this will be really important to kind of, as I mentioned, educate and show the diversity and quality of the wines produced in the state. So more details to come on this, but we're looking at the week of November 21st. With that being the date, we're just looking at securing a venue at the moment. So we'll be back to you shortly with registration details and more information on how you can participate. So this is another program that we're working in collaboration with the other USA wine regions. So La Grande Dégustation is one of the largest wine fairs in Canada, which continues to be a significant attraction for both consumers and trade. So they estimate they see around 12,000 trade and consumers over the 3 days. And we've secured a booth with Washington, Oregon for a tasting booth, sort of a discovery booth, as well as a trade masterclass and a consumer masterclass. So we're in the process of selecting the wines for that now. La Grande Dégustation, unlike other festivals, are a little bit more relaxed on the products that they are willing to bring in. So they do prefer that the products be listed, but for our case, if we want to showcase more wines, they are open to bringing them in different ways. So this is a good opportunity for us to gain more traction, not only with trade, but also with consumers. However, you do have to have an agent in market in order to participate. So we will have more information on this program as well as we build out what that looks like. But the first step to participating in these would be to get an agent. So again, that tasting that we're hosting in September is a really key part in being able to participate. Another USA Wines program that we're working on. This is a brand new market for a lot of you. I know there's a few that are currently testing the waters with BC as a market and have been there for some time. And thank you for those who got back to me and shown interest in participating in this program specifically. It runs between February 22nd and March 2nd. And it is the largest wine festival in Canada. They see around 18,000 trade and consumers, and it runs over the course of a week. Now, we will be participating in 2 trade masterclasses. The topics for those were just released at the end of last week. One will be around sustainability, which I think is a really important topic for us, and the other is value. And these were selected by the Wine Festival. We'll be shipping the wines diplomatically, and I can sort of fill everyone in on this as we move forward down the road. But essentially, we've been given diplomatic privilege for the masterclasses. And then in the main tasting hall, we will be showcasing a discovery wine booth where we'll have 4 New York wines included. So good opportunity for both trade and consumers to try some new wines. However, the wines must be represented by a participating agent in market. And I just received the list of those agents on Friday. So for those of you who have shown interest, I will be reaching out directly to discuss how we can get you listed with an agent. And this is a program that came out of our recent trip in the spring. The sommeliers were very keen on obviously learning more about Riesling, but then also really discovered how amazing the Rieslings were across the region. And obviously with our local wine region, we also produce Riesling. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to kind of call it the Battle of the Rieslings, but really, I think this will be a really exciting event to get trade out and really showcase the diversity of the two, both the similarities and the differences, both world-class. And it'll be a great sort of introduction and a way into Eiffel Excursion, which is our trip in the spring to come down and be part of the International Riesling Conference. So the winner of this competition, and it will be a tasting competition of Rieslings, will receive a spot at our trip in the spring in June. So more details to come on this, but we thought it's a great way to get trade excited about Riesling and showcase the diversity within the region. And this will be in March. Another great opportunity for those in Long Island. We recognize that we're closer to the Finger Lakes, so our trips tend to be to the Finger Lakes with inclusion of obviously the other regions, but we wanted to make sure that we did have a chance to visit Long Island. So we are looking at hosting a media trip in April, and this trip will consist of 3 media from Ontario and Quebec, and we will bring them to the region to explore the diversity of terroir, the varietals, meet the winemakers. I think it's really important, especially for media, when writing stories about the region, to really get a chance to interview and to meet and to be surrounded by all things Long Island. So more details to come on that, but we're looking at April for this visit. And last but not least, we've got the FL Excursion International Conference. So we will be doing another inbound. This one will consist of 10 top trade. We're looking at buyers for this as well. I think this is a really good opportunity to kind of showcase how Riesling, specifically Finger Lakes Riesling and other wine regions within the state, are part of the international discussion around Riesling. So I think we will look to celebrate the grape variety that has been sort of the white knight for this region for a number of years, and we're really excited to bring trade down for this conference. And I just want to showcase the last slide of some important dates. These are coming up. So August 12th, the bottle books will go live for the Seeking Distribution Agent tasting. This is for both Quebec and Ontario. So this will go out to your email. So keep an eye out for a bottle books invitation for that. And then the week of August 12th, I will be reaching out to all of you individually to send you the preliminary agenda and the invitation to participate in all of our activities for the inbound in November. September 2nd is the deadline to send samples. We're just working through through FLX International to create a consolidation point and send those over to our various cities. And then in early September, the bottle books link will go live for the pop-up shops. So keep an eye out for that as well. We will remind you of these as well, and they should come through your email. But if you have any questions on any of the activities, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. And then, of course, more details to come on the consumer event in Toronto, La Grande Dégustation, which is in November, and the Vancouver International Wine Festival, which is in February. And all of those I will be reaching out to you directly as well. So we're really excited for the number of wineries that showed interest in the program this year. We tried to provide activities that would satisfy the needs of trade, but also consumers. We recognize that the LCBO is difficult to work with over the last few years. However, they've assured us that they're looking at new ways that they can incorporate New York wines into their programs. And they're really excited about all the programs that we have coming up. We invite them to visit and taste when we can, and obviously bring them down when we can. The SAQ, we have a meeting with the buyer in early September to discuss the plans for next year as well. And she was very excited with the participation that we had in La Grande Dégustation and a number of the programs that we're working in collaboration with US Wines. So more to come in Quebec as well. And that is all I had at this time. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you both, Melissa and Andrea. I do have 2 questions that came through the Q&A, so we can start with that.
Sure.
And if wineries want to jump in and ask any more, they can feel free. So the first question is, should we be notifying, or should they be notifying their agents of the upcoming activities, or are those communications going to be handled internally by New York Wine? And that also could be a question for Val. I don't know.
I mean, I can answer this. We work really closely with the agents that are representing New York Wines, but we always encourage you to keep in touch with your agent and encourage them to participate in these events. So it's kind of a double approach. I would say definitely reach out to them. We'll be sending, once we've now confirmed and we've presented this to you all, now we will be going back to the agents to let them know of all of our activities for the year.
Right.
And if you do lose the thread on when exactly these things are happening, not only will we send this deck, but every single month we send out an updated calendar to you guys, to the folks that are participating in the program. So if you lose the thread on when they are, we're going to keep that calendar updated, correct? And make sure that everybody has that on a regular basis. I think I'm right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct. And then the next question is, can you explain more about the consignment channel and how that exactly works?
Yeah, so consignment in Ontario specifically is a channel where the agents are able to sell wine directly to restaurants without it going through the LCBO retail stores. Now, the challenge with that is that it has to be sold by the case. So for a restaurant, that's not a problem, but for consumers, it tends to be a lot for consumers to purchase, which is where bottle shops kind of come into play, where consignment agents can sell the products to the bottle shop and then they can in turn sell them by the bottle. Now, everything goes through the LCBO. So unfortunately, it's unavoidable to deal with the LCBO. However, those products are sort of earmarked for restaurants, private consumers, and bottle shops rather than retail stores. Hopefully that answered the question.
I think so. That was great. Those are the only ones that have come through. So if anyone else has questions.
And like Val said, the calendar is really key to stay on top of the dates, but I will also be reaching out to everyone. I do my best as well for the events that we think are really important and work really well with your winery or your region. I will reach out to you directly if I haven't seen a response from you. We, of course, want to showcase and celebrate and feature the diversity of regions, the diversity of varietals. And I think it's really important and really exciting that we have so many wineries interested in the program and signed up for the program. So thank you for trusting in us to showcase your wines in the Canadian market. And we look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa.
And just by way of housekeeping, I do think there are some folks on the line who are still just interested and maybe haven't officially signed up for Canada as an official market. So to take part in all of these wonderful activities, now that you've seen them, if you aren't sure you're signed up or you know that you aren't, please reach out to me directly and I can make sure that we can just invoice you separately for that target market. If you're adding on a new target market, it is $75 and we're happy to just take care of that so you don't have to go through the whole sign up process again. Other than that, Jacqueline, I believe we're going to be sending out this recording to everybody that registered so that you have it. And then of course, Melissa will be in touch on individual activities. So this is a meeting. If there are questions, feel free to unmute yourself, say hi and ask them. We do have a couple more minutes left and we're happy to stay on, but giving people space for that and hearing none necessarily. Unless someone jumps in at the last minute, we'll let you all go enjoy your morning. Jacqueline, maybe you can go back to bed for a minute. Good grief.
It's fine. It's also grape harvest season and out here in California. So there's minimal sleep happening. It's fine.
Fair enough. You're used to it. Well, thank you all. It's been a delight to see everybody. And yeah, we're always here if you need us. Let any one of us know if you have any other questions. And thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
wait, there was one.
Do we want to answer this one question? We get in there under the gun.
Yeah, so there's a couple, well, there's a thank you. So you're welcome, Casey, and on behalf of everyone. I'm glad that was helpful. And then the next question, Glenn's asking, how are New York wines marketed different from California?
In the LCBO or in the SAQ or just in general?
I would maybe start with in general, and then if you think there's value and kind of, I think generally is probably a good model. And then maybe you can outline where the opportunity maybe exists more so for international wines, particularly for the US.
So I mean, California has had a long-standing relationship with the Ontario and Quebec market specifically. and they've been our we're their number one export. So we've seen there's just a lot of California wines in market in all channels. So across the LCBO retail shelves, both in regular listed products, in premium products, and consignment channels. So I think there's just more awareness just because they've been in market for longer. And I think it's a really good opportunity for us to be sitting at the table with them in a lot of these collaborations that we're doing with them this year, because I think people have tried California wines, they're tried, tested, and true. And I think when they're looking at something new and exciting, I think the fact that they have the confidence that New York State wines are sitting at the same table, I think it gives an opportunity for people to have the confidence to give it a try. The other thing that we're really working on is, I mean, we're such a close wine, like we're your neighbors essentially. So to be able to support that sustainability message as well, and be able to look at the opportunities where if you want to try something new, but you want to try something that is next door, I think New York offers a really amazing opportunity. So in terms of a marketing strategy, I think our proximity and the sustainability factor is really important.
That was, sorry to interject, that was one question I was thinking about, was the sustainability movement that's happening right now. And I think it's more understood how it is being perceived in the US market, but our domestic wineries or domestic consumers in BC, are they also kind of very passionate about this sustainability movement?
Yes, I would say that has definitely taken over. I think people have more of an understanding of what sustainability is rather than all the other sort of greenwashing terms that are used across the board. So I think we're starting to see some consistency with what sustainability means, and we're starting to see the premium wine regions really focusing on that as their messaging, which I think is important.
Yeah. Are you finding more sustainability focused products, especially for the wine categories, than like organic or biodynamic or the other alternative methods?
I would say that from an LCBO perspective, their spirit of sustainability is their messaging. So sustainability is certainly a focus for them. In the Quebec market, we're still seeing a lot of interest in organic specifically. I think it's really hard to quantify what natural wine is. But I think organic people have, they're driving towards organic still in the Quebec market. However, over the last year, I would say the sustainable messaging is definitely starting to come through, because I think it's just, it is a challenge. I mean, organic doesn't mean better. And I think people are starting to recognize that. I mean, organic is important, but it's not the most important thing. I think being a sustainable vineyard, being a sustainable winery, having sustainable practices, I think that encompasses more than just organic grapes.
Anyone else want a final chance to jump in and ask questions? Okay. Well, Val already did her closing.
We kept it going. But I will be in touch with everyone in one way, shape, or another. So if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask at that time. We have a lot of exciting stuff happening. I know that was probably a lot in 35 minutes, but yeah, we'll be in touch and we look forward to working with you.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone who joined the call. And thank you to Val, Melissa, and Andrea for being so exceptional. Val, do you want to add any final words?
Nope. Thank you all. Have a great day. We are proud to be your team here. It's a very important program to us. That's why you see so many of us around the table. So thanks again. Have a great one. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.